Alrighty, cool. We're just gonna get started in just a minute, so if everyone would like to take a seat, that'd be great. Cool. Let me know if he's here. All right, is that better? Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. Alrighty. Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel, the Creative Writing Club president, and I just want to welcome all of you to our annual Fall Creative Writing Club Zephyr reading event. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. It truly means so much to us. Our university's Creative Writing Club, founded by Beanie Lowry in 2020, creates a bigger space for writers on campus to create, and this event is our way of sharing that space with the rest of campus too. And I'd like to invite Jasmine up here to introduce the Zephyr.
Hello, my name is Jasmine Tanzaning, and I am the president of UNE Zephyr. UNE Zephyr is the University of New England's Journal of Creative Expression. Each spring since the 2000s, Zephyr has published original drawings, paintings, black and white photography, prose, and verse created by current and former members of the UNE community. Zephyr's editor board is made up of exclusively students from UNE, including myself. This event is a collaboration with the Creative Writing Club, in which UNE students will be reading their poems and fictional stories. We hope you enjoy the variety of writing that you hear today. And without further ado, I'm happy to introduce Jesse Miller, the president of the Creative Writing Club.
Hi. I wish I were the president of the Creative Writing Club, but that's Rachel, but I'm the advisor, so that's close enough. Hi, I'm Jesse Miller. I am a professor here at UNE. I teach creative writing. I'm also the advisor for the Creative Writing Club. Thank you so much, everybody who's here, for joining us. This is the 5th annual event of this kind, of the celebration of creative writing. So this is like a milestone, right? Yeah, right. And thank you. Stephen and I are in the same brainwave. There's going to be a lot of clapping here in a second. So we're here for the fifth iteration of this. This is great. And I'm time traveling here, but I'm thinking about 300 years ago when I was a college student. And for me, that was a big moment because that was kind of the first time that writing became really important for me. In fact, it began to be this thing of how I started to make sense of the world and how I started to be able to negotiate the world. So writing became really important for me and obviously continues to be. Looking at these young writers here, I suspect for most, if not all of you, this rings true as well. So, one thing I want to do is thank you for finding your path as writers. I'm clapping. I also want to thank some folks. I want to thank Rachel for sure, and everybody who's involved with the Creative Writing Club to get this event off the ground. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes persistence for sure. And so, let's give creative writing a big hand, a big round of applause. I also want to thank everybody involved with Zephyr, who doing all this work and helping to put this together as well as Professor McHugh, who's the advisor for Zephyr. Let's give those folks a round of applause. I also want to. You already sort of shouted out Beanie Lowry, but let's do a double shout out. Beanie Lowry was a student of mine, is a wonderful person, and Beanie Lowry started this club way back in the thick of COVID. For years and years and years, I wanted a student to, get this club off the ground. Beanie did that. Beanie's also the person that got this event going. So Essentially, Beanie has cleared the path that we're following. And so let's give Beanie a round of applause. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Rachel, and I think we're going to start the event. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Some house rules before we get started with the reading. Art, art, much like life, is unpredictable and messy. Therefore, some of the poetry and short fiction read tonight will contain mature themes and content. This is including, but not limited to, mental health issues, abuse, gun violence, decomposition, death, and suicide, so audience discretion is advised. If you ever need to step out, please feel free to do so. The other major house rule that we ask is that you wait to clap or snap until after the reader has finished their piece. Thank you, guys. And up first is Bronte.
Hi, I'm Bronte. I'm the Vice President of Creative Writing Club, and I'm going to be reading 2 poems for you today. The first is Firestorm by Sabrina A. Madoff-Stepp. Fire on the hill, fire in the air, fire on the grass. The trees ask for salvation, but fires are hungry, they wait, and fill their lungs and burst gold-orange plumes over a valley of mountains, climbing down rocks. There goes an ember to burn the twig that burns the rock, that burns the tumbleweeds spinning down the ravines. The fires are hungry, maw agape, growling, like a lion aggrieved for losing a cub. The fire keeps alive, burning gracious homes, burning the fields, fences, cars that flee, hot flames curling around the poles and dance in fury, the rubble of things at the shores of a vast ocean, water brine and fish diving deep to hide below the skies. This firestorm catches the wind and moves like a cheetah. Hello, fire, my old friend. Take all that you need to teach us what we don't understand. This next poem is called Ocean's Song, and it's by Linda Paul LeBay. Nature's music, background commotion. Waves crash on rocks, breakers, the ocean. Gulls screeching skim the waves, broken shells, shellfish graves. The sandpiper runs the beach, daring the waves just try to reach. Tiny stick legs like a child's drawing, clouds, shadows cover like a floating awning. The sun peeks through in a slight little show, just enough to produce a rainbow. Then again the clouds give way. Rain adds rhythm, the sky turns gray. Nature's music, background commotion. Waves crash on rocks, breakers, the ocean. Rolling tide chases the bubbles in the sand. Sun peeks through. Isn't life grand? Footprints that line the beach, now erased where the tide could reach. Rhythm of the waves crash like thunder. Lightning on the waves reflect deep under. Tiny rocks push forward and roll back, lining the areas where waves retract. Raindrops leave circles in the surf, disappearing as waves crash into turf. As daytime passes and the sun sinks down, human noises dwindle, waves slowly drown. Moonlight spreads wider onto the beach. Ocean's music has extended reach. Air is cool, salty, and sweet, as the breeze and beach roses softly meet. I crave the smell all winter long, though I still enjoy the ocean's song. Thank you.
Next up, we have Ariana.
All right, hello everybody. Thank you everyone for coming. My name is Ariana Oakes, and I'm going to read 5 poems for you tonight. 3 of them are about half page, the other 2 are about a page long. So without further ado, all of these are written by myself. So without further ado, this first one is called Dancing. Positively electric. Two star souls in motion, weaving in and around and through the space between us. We can do naught but giggle and sing each other's names until we run out of steam and fall once more into each other's arms. So come now, let us move harmoniously. This next one I would like to dedicate to all of my friends who, without I would not be able to be here. It's called Otters. Arm in arm, like otters, we drift across the sea, with a keen eye for predators and any oysters we could eat. This great exchange of letters and the emotions they result in have kept me all the better, though the world seemed to cave in. So keep in check those urchins, and they'll get you tangled in the weeds. As we sail to new horizons, I'm glad you'll share this raft with me. So this is the last of the shorter poems. This is about a dream I had a little bit ago. It's called Maddie. I hold you like a man overboard clings to a life ring. Your soft, golden hair remains just as I remember, almost white in the light of the summer morning. I cradle you as if you were the last match in the box during the dead of winter. Your warmth seeps into me, wrapping around me like a blanket over the child that has gone far, far too long without good night's rest. When I wake, my bed is as empty and cold as ever. I grasp at a pillow with hopes to rekindle you. Getting into the longer poems, this one is called Theme Parks. Everybody says I'm missing out, but I just don't understand. All of my friends spend their day at the park standing in line, waiting for something that might be fun for a short time. When they're done with the ride, I watch them scamper to the nearest trash can as they puke out their guts. That's not to say I don't see the appeal. Sitting next to some other ignorant soul, growing tension as you rise together in the sky until there's a great fast moment as you rocket down the hill, screaming as loud as you can. It's exhilarating. When I watch my friends as they pair off, desperate to reach the peak, they seem so excited, those adrenaline junkies. I sit and watch alone on the park bench, waiting for them to finish. I feel like I do miss out on something I can't feel. When I try to get in line, I get bored and run off before I even reach the car. The seats are uncomfortable, the speed is enough to make me sick, and I abhor physical touch. They tell me those don't matter, that being that close to someone is special. What they don't seem to get through their speed demon heads is that maybe I just don't like roller coasters. This is the last one. I wrote it while I was out on the beach with a bunch of my friends who were most definitely not sober. This one's called A Night Out. Inky blackness gives way to crests of white across the sand. Buildings flicker like candles along the other shore in the distance, flashing white, then green, then white, then green, under the soft glow of the full moon. Why is the sky dark? Have we tried to make our own stars that paint the coast with artificial light? In any case, they could never compare to the galactic splendor we could gaze at with wondering eyes, hoping that something is gazing back. The air feels hazy, like there's a light curtain between me and the night. At least I can see the bar lights reflect on the waves yet to break, hear them fall onto each other in a drunken, haphazard bid for the shore. Dancing under neon pales in comparison to friends laying against friends, drunk on each other and basking in the moon's love. Thank you all so much.
And next up, we have Jasmine.
Hello, it's me again, Jasmine. I am going to be reading you 2 poems that I wrote myself in my very busy schedule. The first one is called It's Still You. Here I am, in a crowded coffee shop, reading the daily news and drinking a small latte. Then I feel a familiar presence, hearing the chime of an open door, the familiar footsteps walking towards me, pulling up a chair to talk. Yet there are no words spoken. There isn't even traces of another person. Not the hint of a nose, eyes, or hands visible. However, my mind sees another world, where another person is present. There they stand, inviting me for a chat. I'm certain I know them, but I can't tell where, when, or how. When they start talking, it feels close to the heart, like when we had the time to count the birds at the feeder, or when we sat on the patio to watch the sunset. The memories are so specific, I couldn't just be Faith. As I listen closely, I can hear it. They almost sound like me, another me I haven't met. Or maybe I have. It's so hard to tell. It's barely unfathomable that the time it took to watch the days count down for us to grow, it would be faster than the flowers wilting and the fall air rises and the birds have flown south. Watching their spirit fly into the clouds while my wings have been chained and clipped, falling from heaven and down to earth, potentially reaching the gates of hell. But at the last minute, a hand grabs my arm and hoists me up to a place free from time and money. Maybe we can be the same. Maybe we are just the same, just in different stages. Despite the forces of gravity, despite the hatred of the world, despite the feeling that existing is hard, you've always been there. I've always been there. It's still you, and it's still me. The second one I have is called Run, Coyote, Run. Late at night, lost in the forest, hunting season is on, and the many forces of thought emerge from hibernation. Happiness is the sun, what wakes the flowers and birds. It starts at the point of a new day, and it will shine like a coyote. Sadness is a river. Cold water chills the skin, but is refreshing to the touch, always flowing from one state to another. And it will persist like a coyote. Love is a rose, blooming when life touches the sky, grasping at each inch of warmth, pricking your fingers while being a staple of beauty, only to be deflowered when cold air returns, and it will embrace like a coyote. Fear is the leaves, crunching under the pressure of footsteps, falling from the leaves with a simple gust of wind. And they are dead when the cold numbs them, and they will settle like a coyote. Rage is timber, a small spark from a strike of lightning, and it will burn through the woods. It will rage, blowing in the wind, reaching the sky, and it will run. It will run like a coyote.
Thank you, Jasmine. And next up, we have Connor.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. I'm Connor. I'm a member of Creative Writing Club, and I have 2 poems I'll be reading for you tonight. The first one is December by Leslie Ricker. Cold came, she was old, but did remember. Cold came, she called it December. Said it was never Christmas to her. Old farmhouses and droughts, hard mud driveways and loading wood into hot cook stoves, freezing and burning, December turning, into blizzard January, a never clear new year, trying to wrap children warm enough, to wait for the bus. At the end of the road, she was a hero to us. As such, it cost her much. Cold made her old. December, she did remember. And this next poem is Please by Linda Paul LeBay. When the rain stops and the clouds finally clear, please tell me that you'll still be here. I haven't a clue what I would do otherwise. I feel it'd be the beginning of my demise. Oh, when the rain stops, and it surely will, please say you'll be here still. Before the darkened skies and rain fall, I rarely ever had seen you at all. So when the rain stops and the clouds finally clear, I want to share in the glory and the cheer. You've stood by me as good friends do, and stayed strong and pulled me through. Seems the clouds lighten for a little while. I feel the warmth of your gentle smile. Another love gone and gloom sets in. Barely a breather, seems we just can't win. When the rain stops and the clouds finally clear, please, please tell me that you will be here. We have no choice of when we will pass, but how do we cope? There should be a class. Thankful that you have held tight through the rain. You're that silver lining through all the pain. I'm strong in mind, but not so in my heart. Please, please tell me you'll never part. Thank you.
And next up, we have Chloe.
Hello, my name is Chloe Boole, and today I'm going to read 2 poems for you. The first poem I wrote and put in the Zephyr last semester, and it is called Sunflower. Neon saliva, fountains of talk, rainbow airwaves like highways of chalk, outlined plans and fans revving and revving, brains worrying and telling of times when colors were far more bright, when paint-splattered skies didn't drip from the fight of men and militias and troops. Swoop goes the arm that throws a grenade with red-colored eyes, killing the brave and the weak and the young and the old and the helpless. My second poem that I'm going to be reading tonight is a new poem that I wrote in the last few weeks called That Little Girls Were Quiet. Oh, she's so lovely and quiet, said the lady in the tall hat. So sweet. Oh, and swing the bat on my television set. Will you buy it, proper lady? All neat. Briskly down the street, smart shoes, lacy socks. Smart she is, quiet, walking down the planks and boardwalks. Model girls thinking minds drawn behind the drapes, baking cookies with their mothers into pretty shapes. Down your pencils, tell your friends that substance is only name. Game and fortune, wealth by apron, such a trophy to be made. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Rachel. You guys already know me, and I'm going to be reading 4 poems I've written, 1 from the previous edition of the Zephyr, and 3 that are going to be in the upcoming one. The first poem I have tonight is called My Body Will Do the Good I Cannot. The worms will come for me one day. They will take me from the burial dirt, unhinge their jawless maws, and they will feast upon my flesh. They will burrow into soil, come up for rain, and they will die when the robins come to prey. The robins will nest in your backyard. They will sing the most beautiful of psalms. A snake will slither up the tree, unhinge her beautiful jaws, and swallow the little bird whole. The snake will lay her clutch of eggs, and they will hatch under a golden sun. They will spread across the land, and one day they will lay their own eggs. A professor will show an unlucky youth to his university class with a respectful smile. None of them will know I am why they have such a beautiful specimen to study. It does not matter if they do, only to me and only to the worms who need to eat. My next poem is dedicated to the people who have helped me become my true self in the best way possible, and also to all of the women in the world. It is called The Proclamation and the Question. I love women. I love the flow of their silhouettes, the pretty colors they paint themselves in, and the soft touch of their hair that bounces against the pretty clothes they wear. I love women. I love the gentleness they hold life in, but also the fierceness they wield to protect it, a duality that runs like a river, both raging and calm as my bleeding heart. I love women. I love the way the sun gleams in their eyes as they smile while talking about their passion, and even more, I love the glistening of tears when they laugh so hard that it hurts. I love women. I love their silken touch, their quiet breaths, and the certainty in how they hold each other, and hopefully, someday me. I love women. Why is that something I must loudly proclaim when their oceanic hearts and lightning-sharp minds enrapture me more than any god ever could? Is my love for women not inherently something to be proud of? My third poem is from the most recent edition of the Zephyr, and it is called Lesson from a Yearning and Empathetic Heart. Every other post, another horror awaits me. The world is on fire. Families are torn apart. Machines have more autonomy than me. My heart is seen as a mistake to be corrected. My mind wasted on the wrong things, so they say. But blood runs through my veins. Red as a four-toed salamander's back, their namesake a myth that reminds me of the majestic phoenix. My flesh, though pockmarked and stretched, grew the same way as anyone else's, built to hold my friends when they cry or hug them when we laugh. Just like you, my insides are only parts that run the machine of my body. I have yet to fall truly in love, but I still yearn, just like the Romeos and Eurydices, seeking my penguin, my partner in life. So what if she's a woman or a person? If you beheld Aphrodite with thine eyes, would you not worship her? The generations before me, they've been blinded by their own misfortunes and our shared privileges. They don't see how our ancestors burned each other at the stake. They don't see how they killed the bison out of hate, not need. They don't see how they still benefit today. But my heart cannot be caged, and my mind learns, always curious, always consuming knowledge, always horrified, but always hopeful all the same. Do they see that and feel fear? Is that why they yell till I cry? Is there anything to gain from this suffering? No, I think not. Correction, I know not. They fester and rot in the moldy corpse of their souls, but I will not, I refuse. For we are of the same dirt and bone. Our fingers touch soft earth and silken water, and no matter what, we will feed the little things we cannot see to create new life. And I see a reason to hope, a reason not to fester, but to dream and do. I see my mother teaching children with honesty and respect for them. I see my sibling growing up with so much knowledge and so much to voice. I see my peers strive to uplift, my friends strive to find and give hope, even when their minds and world tell them not to bother. I see men save thousands of amphibians with no other motive than childish joy and whimsy. I see women offer a napkin to a stranger in a stall just to help, nothing more. I see indigenous people share stories full of wisdom, immigrants sharing cultures, black women recommending silk bonnets for hair, and queer people loving openly. I see these beautiful people and this beautiful earth, and I greet the horrors with hope. And my last poem is dedicated to none other than my grandfather. It also acts as a sequel to a poem I wrote for my grandmother in the latest edition of the Zephyr. It is called My Favorite Pink Trouble. You taught me how to ride a bicycle without any training wheels, even as the lack of balance terrified me. You taught me how to copy cartoons onto pieces of old pink putty with pink hands. You taught me how to fish, and though I've lost that skill, I will always be grateful that you taught me anyway. You taught me how to drive a car. Took me on the highway my 5th time ever behind the wheel. You taught me how to confront without being mean, how to be stubborn in who I am without cruelty. Maybe that's what I got from you. The need to fight for what's right, even if I'm not loud or tall. As I grow older, I notice more of you and me. The way we burn like vampires in the sun, the way we tease those we love most, and of course, the dreadful beginnings of a double chin. And though I could strangle you for your strange and confusing texts, and the way you stick in the mud when it's time to grow like a tree, I hope you know you're one of my favorite of life's teachers. Thank you, guys. And next up, we have Brady.
Hello. So today I will be reading 2 poems from some of our wonderful UNE graduates who also happen to be some of my friends, one of which is here tonight. Hi, Liz. I love you. But this first poem is by Thomas Garcia. It's called The Axe and the Tree. I don't forget the things you've said, the words, the way they hurt me, the fear and heartbreak that I try to keep from surging into anger. We all hold the axe, but it's up to us whether we chop at other trees, with words and subtext, a piercing thought, a wounding belief. It's easy to do without even having to think. But all this time, you were so blind, you didn't realize you were cutting me down too. And this next one is called Many Nights, a Poem for the Little Things, by Lizzie Baker. On a night like any other, you can hear the popping from the stove and the laughter of my brother. Like a treasure trove, the golden kernels turn white, and gleaming on the wet road, the yellow of the streetlight glows. Art that flowed and has been bestowed hangs on the walls of my sanctuary, as I watch the snow fall during a freezing January. Through it all, I am given the gift of 2 dogs running to me at the end of the day, both of which I lift and dearly love to pay with kisses I can shower and that they have missed, despite the pets they are given every hour. Still, a love that will persist is the potential of a blank sheet of paper, something that makes me hesitate at first, but soon I will cover every acre. I will think of something that makes my heart burst, though it is a little unexpected. I think of the weird bottles at Goodwill that find themselves no longer neglected, and on the shelf they now fill. Across from that shelf lies a bed and wait, where at night I lay myself in preparation for tomorrow's fate. While hard as a rock in the evening, when sleep continues to forsake, it is soft as a cloud in the morning, even when I should be awake. In the dark car, I drive home after a long day of school, admiring the beams of the crescent moon and the stars shining like jewels. The drive itself is eclipsed by the sheer bliss of familiar notes intermixed, ones that make me reminisce. Still, it is a night like any other, where you can hear the popping from the stove and the laughter of my mother, father, and brother. Memories in a precious treasure trove.
Thank you, Brady. And next up, we have Alex.
Hi. I'm going to read a poem I wrote called A Second Smaller Animal. It began as nothing, and that was fortunate, for the whole was still to be written. As she fell, the world began to happen. She plummeted without permission, an awful start to an unpleasant experience. Everything seemed to move with a rude, deliberate tempo. It is curious here to recall that the first recorded use of playing cards was in the summer of in 1294 when two men were caught wagering in the Ming Department of Punishments. Their paper cards were seized, 9 in all, and the wood blocks used to print them were confiscated. Where did those cards go? She couldn't ever find the answer, and you simply cannot imagine how upsetting this is for a young girl. There was something odd, something vast, a trembling seam between herself and what unspooled below. Two realities, perhaps, one she dimly inhabited, and another she only suspected was occurring. She had no choice but to plummet. Fear, fear, fear was the common suit of all falling things. Before we end, this is something you absolutely must understand. The bones of rabbits are constructed with such flimsy and delicate economy that they will always shatter from sheer surprise. They were never intended to withstand the abrupt termination of descent from great altitudes, such as the splendid pinnacle of human achievement, our own loved Strasbourg Cathedral, or laughter, or joy. One might almost say that the hare is born mid-fracture. It knows only flight. So too did she. There was no one still, and so there was a fall, nothing after, down, really, all that must be said of it, distant, down, and still falling from that distance, really, that's all. It began as nothing.
Thank you, Alex. And next up, we have Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz. I'm a member of Creative Writing Club, and I wrote a fun little spooky story that I'd like to share with you as we get closer to Halloween. It's called Eyes in the Window. Everyone knows that the best way to celebrate the Halloween season is to summon a demon, except they're just games and you don't actually summon a demon, though it's really fun to think that you did. On the night of Hallows Eve, my friends and I gathered around in a dark room preparing for this year's ritual. Tonight's activity, found in a book of creepy games we bought years ago, was called Eyes in the Window. We had to turn off all the lights in the house so we could see into the dark void outside. We had to lock all the windows outside the room we played in for our safety, of course. With preparations done, we sat in a circle by the biggest window of the house, the living room. The window had to be open just by a crack to attract the demon's presence. Once it did appear, we'd have to slam the window shut to scare it away and keep it out. There was nothing outside of the window. Our fingers were pricked to attract the demon with the smell of blood. A small dish containing the dark red liquid was placed in the center of our circle. We also had a dead mouse we found in one of the traps in the basement, as it was encouraged by the book to provide another offering. A small candle was lit, then everyone held hands. To begin the game, we closed our eyes and spoke a chant. Eyes in the window, first there were none, blood and fire, an offering for one. Eyes in the window, come close and look through. In the darkness of night, now we see two. I opened my eyes, the candle went out. I sighed. The wind must have blown it through the crack. But when I looked up, I saw them, the eyes. They glowed a faint gray with pupils resembling tiny black holes, as if this entity was almost human, or at least trying to be. There was something outside the window. Before I could think, I ran to the window to slam it. The eyes remained. It was supposed to leave. This wasn't even supposed to work at all. Everyone had seen the eyes now. My friend violently flipped through our book, and with a shaky voice, all they could say was, "Hide." The sound of rapid footsteps flooded the house. There was something outside the window. I ran to the basement. The steps creaked as I descended into the darkness. I felt my way around to find something I could hide behind. A small space by some storage boxes, where it was all that there was. But what I saw made my heart stop. I didn't know there was a window in the basement. 2 eyes. There was something outside the window, and though it was dark, I could see long, sharp fingers reach under the rail. The creak of a window that had not been opened in ages felt like daggers in my ears. There was nothing outside of the window. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. This concludes our reading for tonight. I want to thank all of our readers and writers for creating and sharing tonight, and thank you to our audience for joining us. I'd like to invite Jasmine up to give a little plug for the Zephyr here.
Hello, guys. I hope that you enjoyed our night's reading. As you see in the back of you, we have several different editions of UNE Zephyr, with our latest one going, I believe, up until 3 years ago. And we also have a lot of different things from the Creative Writing Club as well, such as bookmarks. So I'm going to let you guys go and kind of like mingle a little bit. And also, if you don't mind, you can check some of the editions that we have of our UNE Zephyrs.
Thanks to everyone for being here. It really means a lot. I'd also like to shout out and thank Professors Jesse Miller and Susan McHugh for all of your help with both this event and helping coordinate our clubs and curating these spaces for writers on campus. We really couldn't do it without you, and we encourage everyone in the audience to consider joining us for future events, as well as just becoming members of our club and creating some of your stuff of your own. We do have bookmarks, copies of the Zephyr, and snacks in the back for anyone interested. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask us readers, and have a great night.